So what we're going to do today, there has been a lot of
There you go.
there's been a lot of interest in my turkeys. Can y'all still hear me all right? I had to turn my headset upside down.
Yep, we got you. You sound great.
Okay. So there's been a lot of interest in how I turned that turkey. So I thought what I would do today is, well, that's not going to work. So I thought what I would do today is turn a turkey. This is a piece of Texas ebony. The tree was small when I cut it, not knowing it was Texas ebony. And
I remember that.
so without further ado, we're just going to get my tiny little spindle gouge after it.
Hey, Billy, what chuck are you using?
That is a Record Power SC1. I believe it's the one. SC1 and 2 are the same size diameter wise. The SC2 I think is a little bit shorter. Do a little peeling cut right here. And raise and move my tool rest. Ooh, there's a crack in that. I knew it was there. Spindle gouge. I think I'm going to regrind this spindle gouge one of these days because I'm not happy with that grind.
Hey, Billy, how
Yeah,
high? How high? What is the height that you're cutting with there with your skew? We got a skew question.
I was about if I was
About
about three
10:30 on the
quarters.
clock face.
Yeah,
About 10:30 on
thereabouts.
the clock face.
Yeah, roughly.
Then that little log you started with, how big was it? About 2.5 inches.
It was, yeah, 3 inches maybe. So basically, what I want to do is I want to turn the head into something of a somewhat of a sphere or sphere shape or an orb. Just to give it some depth and character. And same thing back over this way. La 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 la. Give him a little thin turkey neck like. Make it a little bit long. It doesn't have to be perfect. I've never seen a perfect turkey. Move it out a little bit. Good sharp scraper will give you some nice wispy curls. Especially down here in the tights. And I'm doing this to not show you my scraping skills, but to save time. All right. Put a little bit of a angle on our turkey here. I mean, seriously, you can make the body any shape you want, but I think that long neck is just better. Round that up a little bit. It's looking kind of clunky. Not clucky, clunky. We ain't turning no chicken.
That's it.
Do what?
I was making a chicken cluck sound.
Aha. Okay, we gonna fix that. I got too rough. Well, and this Texas ebony's pretty hard. Yes, I could have gone back in with my skew and fixed it.
Always good to show a scraper being used.
Well, it's better. It's better. Not better enough. This is going to take some work later, but that's okay. I'm showing you what I do. So I get it to this point. Now, I'm not going to sand it all the way through 320, although I usually will.
It looks smooth already.
It wasn't bad. It's not real good up here.
You know, the sapwood.
Yeah. It it was arguing with me. Anyway, I'll go through this process and sand it up. And once it's sanded, for all intents and purposes, this is done. It's at this point, once it's all sanded up nice, I might hit it with some sanding sealer and then I'll take it off the lathe because it's done, except for drilling the holes for the beak and things like that. So I've already got one over on the bench ready that I do have holes drilled in. and I have the tenon cut off. So that's part of my magic of television thing. The next thing I want to do is we've got to deal with the tail. So to make the tail, let me take that in just a little bit. I simply take a blank that I've got marked center. This three quarters of an inch thick. In this case, it happens to be African mahogany. You don't have to use African mahogany. I just happen to have a fair amount of it that was the right size. So that's where my tenon will be.
Billy, what size is your disc there?
The disc is
4 by
little over 5 inches. It'll end up being about 5 when it's all said and done.
what's the width?
3/4 of an inch.
3/4.
So first thing we want to do is make this round. Just like that. And let me see if I can change cameras. To a different angle. The dummy almost forgot what he was doing. I'm just using the jaws of my chuck for my drive. So it's a friction drive. If it spins, it's no big deal. And we're just going to make a small dish. That is not a very big tenon. It's about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe a little over. But it doesn't have to be. Not if you got a good chuck. And again, sand this up to about 320. Turn it backwards, smooth it out a little bit. Dummy. Wrong button. When you have two toggle switches,
It increases the chances of hitting the wrong one.
yeah, and it did.
Uh-huh.
Now, you notice I'm sanding this pretty quick. I was watching somebody, some big name Turner here a while back, a few years ago, I think. And he said something that made a whole lot of sense to me. And you want to spend the bulk of your time with your lower grit. And then each grit thereafter doesn't take much time. And sanding longer, this is what he said, sanding longer doesn't make your piece smoother, it makes it smaller.
Through that. Sounds like sound advice.
So that's 320. And that is pretty smooth. And it looks pretty good. Yes? Okay, don't agree with me.
Oh, it looks smooth from here.
Yeah, it is. All right, get rid of my elbow pokey. Because if I don't take it out, I will most certainly catch it. Now let's see if we made that too small. We did not. Hallelujah. All right. I do love this Vic Mark Chuck. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
And those shark jaws, holy crap, you can do so much with them. Da, 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 da.
Hey, Billy, what size is your bowl, your circle again?
It was
5 inches.
5 inches when I started.
Yeah, thank you.
La, 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 la. Okay. Back to my bowl gouge. See, this is not a, let's get some speed. This is not a difficult project. I'll just blew the tail feathers out, but that's all right. We're not going to use them all anyway. And you want to take this, well, you can take it as thin as you want, but 1/8 of an inch is plenty. And when you're working with 3/4 inch stock, it don't take long to get in there and get done. Know what I mean?
It sure don't.
Okay, I've still got That's an eighth of an inch. Starting about right there is where it gets thicker. So I can take that out a little bit more. Yeah, see where I roughed it up? But we can fix that.
Yeah. Ain't but a thing.
Really, that's just the bare spot of a Christmas tree, and you just know which one you're gonna get, where it goes up against the wall.
Well, that a lot of this, I say a lot. Some of this is going to be turned away. Still a little high here in the center. Let's see if I turn that down enough in there. Nope. Check it again. That'll do. That will do, donkey. That will do. Ooh. Still got some yucky there.
That mahogany can be chippy, can it?
Well, when you bump your tool against it, yeah, which is what happened.
I was trying to cover for you.
Yeah, well, when you get in a hurry,
Yeah, yeah.
I slammed the edge of this bowl gouge into it, and that's what happened. Almost
When
there.
you get in a hurry, you wind up getting behind.
Yeah, the hurrieder I go, the behinder I get.
Uh-huh. Story of my life.
And then you got to fix all your whoopie doos.
Yeah, all the boo-boos.
All right. No, I'm not done with you. Why'd you go down there? Because I wanted to bend over again. That's why.
Uh,
Oh. Yeah.
It's got some nice grain. It's got some shadowets in it already.
Oh yeah, it's gonna have it. This African mahogany, this batch I've got is very ribbony, and you'll end up with some really cool ribbon chatoyants. The sad part about it is what I'm going to do to the tail is going to eliminate a whole lot of that. Well, somewhat.
sacrifices.
Yep. Well, like I said, I have a fair amount of this, and it was cheap, as in free.
Amen. That's a good price.
Yeah, a friend of mine's family owns a trophy shop here in San Antonio, and he runs the woodworking department. And when he gets when his offcut pile gets almost as high as his table saw, he says, "You need to come get rid of some of this stuff." And so I go and I get a lot of African mahogany. Every now and then he'll let me have a little bit of walnut, but he uses that himself more than anything else. And sometimes I get some alder. This last time I got some spalted beech. I already
You
said
guys,
alder.
do you guys pay a premium for walnut down there?
Yes.
Interesting. I'm gonna bring some to trade next year at Level Up.
Sounds good to me.
I love walnut. I've got a couple of big sections of walnut that my brother cut off a house after Katrina in Louisiana. And I got to take them out to James's house and have him help me core them here before too long. I've been sitting on them a long time.
I've got about 15 logs of walnut. I'll bring some up next year too.
Saturday after, Billy, anytime, man.
Yep.
Maybe I'll cut up the big walnut log that's sitting in my yard.
I've got a big piece of huisatch in here too that I want to core. I just have to remember where it is. Well, okay. Enough of this sanding stuff. All right, that was 320. Now the fun part. Find my center spot. Okay, it's right there. My breast is a little high. That's about perfect. So now what we do, my lathe has, my spindle has 12 holes in it. So I'm going to mark all the way across and out to the edge 12 times.
kind of pen are you using, Billy?
This is just
No, on your spindle.
this.
Yeah.
It's a bolt that didn't fit anything that I
Oh, okay.
ground down on my 6-inch grinder and
Got it.
made it fit, because the one you have to use, for those of you
Yeah,
that have Powermatics, you got to screw it
Yeah,
in,
thread it in.
and
Yeah,
it's
it's a pain.
long-winded and it takes forever, and it's a pain in the butt.
I've just been
So
using I just been using a nail punch. It's about the same size.
I've tried using Allen heads, and I get too much slop with them. I still get a little slop with this thing that I made, but it's for these purposes it works fine. Because I'm not being real exact here. You don't have
Yeah.
to. These are going
Yeah,
to
it's
be
a good.
these are going to be the turkey feathers, and there's no such thing as a perfect turkey feather. All right, so that's 12. Now I have to come over to this slot, and that will let me put them right in the middle. So I'll end up with 24. And they don't have to be exact. You just got to get close.
Hey, Billy, can you zoom in your camera to see what you're doing there?
I wish.
Okay. We got a request in chat. So apparently not, Al.
This
That's why I
I'll
didn't
show
ask.
you. I'll show you a close up in a minute. I wish it had zoom, but this particular camera does not. And if I was running OBS, I might be able to use OBS and zoom it in a little bit, but OBS, I have discovered, it creates bandwidth issues that I'm not happy with. So I've decided for all of my streams anymore, I'm not going to use OBS. So now I've got 24 lines. And that's perfect. Perfect. Wrong tool. Billy, you just sanded that up and now you're going back in there. Yeah, I am. A little bit.
Billy, somebody was asking about your point tool. Was that a screwdriver?
Yes. It's a long shank. Uh, it was a long shank Phillips from Lowe's, Cobalt. It's about a 3/4 inch. I mean, not 3/4, about a 1/4 inch blade. And I just ground it to a pyramid. Now you can use for burn marks, you can use linoleum that you can get, countertop material samples you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. I find just a wedge shaped piece of oak does just fine, especially if you got some speed. Oh, I'm a big dummy. I am. See, I did two things backwards. I lost some of my marks. All right. Now, so this is what those marks look like. Can you see that, Al?
Yeah, you can see it, Billy.
That may help. Nope, that's just too much
No,
washout.
out there.
Okay.
You
Anyway,
can see it.
you'll see more. Had I used a different pencil, like a number 2 lead, I could have, those would have been darker. But when I get over to the bench, you'll see. Now let's see if I made this deep enough. I'm betting I didn't. No, I didn't. So all of that fancy footwork for nothing. But not to worry. I have an option.
Wait, got one more.
Now, not everybody's going to have this option. But if you have a vacuum chuck, and I do, get my pokey back out. Oops. Don't drag the camera line with it, dummy. Woo. That African mahogany is more porous than I thought it was. I'm running a JB Eliminator vacuum pump, and I'm only drawing about 9 inches of mercury. That ain't enough.
No, it's not. Be careful.
Yeah.
Sucking it through the pores of the wood, eh?
Yep. So now, if I'm really careful,
Maybe a fresh sharp gouge. Billy ain't scared.
no, sir, he ain't. All right. Hit this a quick sand. Well, Billy, aren't you worried about that hole you're leaving in the middle? Nope. And I'll show you why.
I'm gonna cut through it.
Well, no, I'm not, but you'll never see it. All right, 320. Come on, turn loose. Well, it was on there pretty good, even with 9 pounds or 9 inches. Okay, so now what we need to do is we've got all of these marks on here, and I want to make sure I transfer them back to the back side. Okay. Now I got those transferred to the back side. We'll go over to the bench and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Switch cameras. I've got to get me a Stream Deck to make this easier. Okay, that's the right camera. I just got to move it. Yes. Somebody have a question?
No, nothing yet.
Okay. All right. Bring you down a little. Okay, so here's my piece, and I've got my marks transferred to the backside. And I know where my little center hole is because we left that little divot. So I'm going to take me a flexible straight edge. In this case, it's a piece of Formica that came off of a cabinet once upon a time. I transferred my marks to the edge, but not over the back. So are y'all seeing me in mind frame?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Some of them went far enough, some of them didn't. All right, so running through the center, I basically use my straight edge and line this up and then draw me a line. And there'll be 24 of them. So I do this 24 times. And after I get that done, I have those 24 lines and I take my pyrography machine that's not plugged in. And I just follow those lines. Now, one of the things I did not do when I had this over there, and I should have, is I should have put my grooves on the outside to match the inside and done
Okay.
a burn ring and a little burn ring. You can see I've done that here.
Right.
So I've already used my pyrography machine on the inside, and now I'm going to finish it up out here on the outside. This is not the most expensive pyrography machine on the market, but it suits my needs. What I like about it is I can put different tips in it. Just like you can those expensive ones. And you can make your own. In fact, this one I'm using is my own. So now I've got all of my lines in, and it's time to decide where I'm going to cut it and how much. Now, with this particular blunt tail, you can see there's a big crack right here.
Yep.
Well, it's not a big crack, but it's a crack nonetheless. Now, I've taken my turkey body and I've drilled my holes for my wattle. I've marked where the eyes are going to go. And I drilled my hose, not my holes, my hole for the beak. Now I'm going to burn the eyes in. When this gets hot. This ball takes a little longer to heat up. And this Texas ebony is hard stuff, and it takes longer to pyro it nice than the softer woods. But there's his eyes. Now, on my previous turkey, I dyed his face blue because male turkeys' faces are blue. I'm not going to do that with this one because I don't think the blue would show up very well on this Texas ebony. And what else I've done is I've taken it over to my tail vise, and using a back saw, I cut 2 holes or 2 slits just opposite the face. So I cut a slit down his back, and then I moved over and cut another one down to give me an 1/8 inch gap there. And what that will do is will let me glue the tail in. Now remember, I have a split here. So I want to lay this turkey up here with that split kind of in the middle. And I got to figure where my lines are. So holding this up here with a line running straight up the back of his head, you can see this line over here and this line over here. They stick out past the body. So those are the lines that I'm going to use to cut. And I'm going to dirty that up a little bit so I know where my lines are. So basically, I'm going to cut here and I'm going to cut here. And now you got to figure out how far up I'm going to cut. I think I'm going to come straight across. Where's my straight edge? I think I'm going to come straight across right here. Now you can make these cuts on a bandsaw if you wish. But I'm going to use my scroll saw, and it's over there. I don't know if you'll be able to see me.
There we go. We'll see you.
And this don't take long. And I like using my scroll saw. Well, I'll show you why. I like using my scroll saw because I get a, well, let's move back over here where they can see you. How about that, dummy? I like using my scroll saw because I get a nice clean cut that doesn't really require much sanding. Now, if I turned this the right thickness, this will just slide down in there. But of course I didn't. See if I made it. Yeah, that's the right. That part's right.
See you later, Jeff.
So sometimes we have to sacrifice. Or not sacrifice, adapt. Adapt and overcome.
Adapt and overcome.
So that's where this little jewel comes in. Because what I can do with this is I can thin this down real quick. So for starters, I'm just going to go down as deep as the burn. Come over to this side a little bit. I don't want to get nearly as aggressive over here. See what we look like. It's getting there. Okay. You don't want to get it too thin, but you want to get it thin enough. That's, I guarantee you, thin enough. But maybe I need to go a little higher. Yep, I need to come down about a 1/16 of an inch. Oh, it's hitting down inside. I see. I got a ridge in there.
Ah, left over from the two cuts.
Yes. I thought I had them cleared out, but I were wrong. Oh well, once I get it glued on, it's not going to go anywhere. So once you've got that fitting, I like this better than the way I did the peacocks. The way I did the peacocks was I went over to my oscillating spindle sander and I sanded a groove, or basically a spot that fit the round of the body. And then I epoxied that. I just epoxied it on. And I like this better because it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Once you glue that in place, it's not going anywhere. So at this stage, now that I've got this done and have this fitting the way I want it, and I will gap fill this with a product called Wood Epox just because I have some. I used it on the lighthouse. And now I can glue my beak in. I've already colored it. Now what I'm going to do with this, as unfortunate as it is, I'm going to use some wrong stain. I'm going to use General Finishes White Mist Stain for the white on around the outside. For the next layer in, I don't need my dust collector running. I bought this big bottle years ago before COVID and before prices went nuts. Speedball Super Black India ink. And it will probably last me my lifetime. So now you just gently go by, because on a turkey feather, from what I was looking at, all the pictures, white, black, brown, and one of the things that the pyroid grooves help with is preventing bleed over. And as sloppy and messy and shaky as I am, I like that. And this don't take long. And I like using the flat brush because I can turn it sideways and get detail like here. And I can use broad strokes through here. Hang on to it.
Yeah, it goes on well.
I'll tell you what, for ebonizing, I love this stuff. I'm not going to use anything else. Y'all have heard me talk about Speedball Super Black India ink a bunch.
Yeah.
And this is why.
Yeah, I might have to get me some.
Because it if you've got really impressive grain, it will show through, especially if you sand it back just a little.
Yeah, they do sell much smaller bottles if you want to just dip your toes in,
They
so to
do.
speak. Yep.
Okay. So that's what I would do inside and out, all the way around. This is that gutter material. Well, you dummy. This is that gutter material that I used for that fence around the lighthouse. And you can apply as many coats of this as you want. Just apply a coat and wait, and apply another coat. And it will probably take several. This stuff is really good at filling pores. I've got the I've got an oak tool handle that I made. I shoshugi bond it, and then I sanded it back a little bit. And then I used this white mist to fill the pores, and it just wiped off of the black. This was on clearance one day at Woodcraft, and I liked it. I liked the color. So I got it. And after, like I said, I'll apply a couple of coats of this until I'm happy, inside and out. And then inside for the brown, you can use anything, but the best brown dye I have is this.
Shoe dressing.
Yep, sole dressing. Sole and heel dressing. And it gives you, and it's alcohol based, and it gives you a nice, rich color.
Look at that.
And now you can see some of that chatoyance popping
Yep.
from the ribbons in that mahogany. See that?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
And so we let the front dry, and then we do the back. And while we're waiting on everything to dry, oh, there you are. I like using Type Bond Quick and Thick for things like this because it dries clear. And I mean, in fact, you can use pretty much any white PVA glue and do the same thing, like Elmer's glue all.
Right.
It's a good white PVA glue. It's really good for wood. In fact, that was one of the woodworking glues of choice years ago for me.
Yep, sure was.
Before Type Bond came out. So I've got my little beak glued in. And now I can glue my wattle in. Now I have taken this piece of pipe cleaner. I cut a little piece off and I dipped it in Rust-Oleum coral colored wood stain. The fibers soak it up good. It got a little bit hard, but that's okay. It don't need to be super soft. Unlike the last turkey I did. All right, come on, get in there. It fit yesterday, and it's fighting me today. Imagine that.
Demoitis.
Yeah, to say the least. Now wipe the excess glue off. Because if you don't, you will see it on the finish or in the finish. So he's got his beak and his wattle. I am not going to give this one a beard. The last one I did, I used a piece of pipe cleaner and dyed it black with the speedball. And it looked okay, but it looks kind of silly. So I'm not gonna give him a I ain't gonna give him a
Just
A
call this
beard.
one a Jake.
call it a Jake.
Yep. Tom with
So-
no beard.
So when it's done, and all glued together, that's what it'll look like. And then you just spray whatever kind of finish you want on it. You can use satin, you can use gloss, whatever you want. Most of the time, I'm using this these days. I have some satin as well, but I find this clear enamel, it's quite a bit less expensive than most lacquers, and it does a great job. It covers well. That
Can you
lighthouse.
hold it up to the camera again?
What?
Can you hold that can up to the camera again?
Certainly.
There you go.
Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra.
They got it at Walmart.
Yeah, I get mine. I should probably check Walmart. I get mine at Home Depot. But so that's a turkey.
That's a turkey.
Billy,
How many
that was
goats-
outstanding. That was outstanding.
Gobble, 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 gobble.
Yeah.
That really was, Bill. I'll tell you what,
Let
Bill,
me,
that was
let me
really
change
enjoyable.
cameras again.
Very enjoyable.
Brings us even closer to Christmas, my favorite holiday.
Right?
What happened to Thanksgiving?
I'm saying you're getting me closer because you ate the turkey.
So
Yeah, well
anyway,
done, Billy.
that's how I turn a turkey. I mean, you can do it any number of ways. like Cat Meddy's always saying, if you can hold it, you can turn it. Well, I've showed you two ways that you can hold that, hold the dish on and finish it up. And even actually three ways if you keep your tail stuck up. If you keep your tail stuck up, just using a friction drive and knock most of it away. The rest of it, unless you're using a really, really hard piece of wood, it'll sand off in a heartbeat. And then if you don't get your groove exactly the right width, you can adjust that. If you don't get the platter exactly the right thickness, I can't talk tonight. If you get your if you don't get your platter exactly the right thickness, you can adjust that. So it's just a matter of what you're willing to do.
Very nice, Billy.
Thank
Well,
you.
you know, actually, Bill, you just showed us a project out of a couple pieces of just almost scrap wood.
They were scrap wood.
Yeah, you know that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they really
Just a ruminant.
they were scrap wood. I had, well, let me show you. I have a stack 3 times this size of African mahogany that looks like this. And that's what I use to turn those 2 platters or dishes for the tail. So, I mean, you don't have to have expensive wood. I mean, you could just as easily use poplar because you're going to dye it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and poplars, I don't want to say dirt cheap, but at the big box stores, it's not expensive.
Right.
And 3/4 inch stock, that's all you need, and they've got plenty of it.
In fact, you
I'll
can
tell you
get
what.
it from the cutoff boxes for next to nothing.
Yeah. Well, and and you saw what I used for the bodies. I just took a couple of pieces of what would normally be limb and
What is the circumference of
knocked them
the
out.
turkey body then?
The circumference of the turkey body. Well, where's the other one? Where'd you go?
Behind you.
Behind you.
This one is 1.85 inches.
Wow.
The other one,
Hey, Billy, it looked huge.
the other one is 2.1 inches. You know, there's no set size. They don't have to be a particular size, just whatever you have, and just try to make them, I mean, as close to eye pleasing as possible. You know, that's kind of eye pleasing. It's
Yes,
not.
sir.
I
Yes.
didn't Fibonacci it, but if I did, it would probably be pretty close.
Oh, it's definitely close.
So just whatever looks good to your eye. I mean, people ask me all the time what about the critters that I've been turning, whether it be the penguin that I did or the peacocks or the turkey or the dogs, especially the dogs. Did you start with a pattern?
No.
No, it's
right.
all up here. I put a piece of wood on the lathe and I said, okay, let's turn this down into a neck. So I basically created a shape like this, except instead of making a little knob on the top for the head, I made it a spindle that was about 1/4 inch wide. So when I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in the head of the dog, it would fit. I could glue it on. And then I took another small piece and I threw it on, and I wanted to make the head kind of a peanut shape. Why? I don't have any idea. But I thought, you know, that might look cool, having the back of his head be a little bit smaller than the front of his head. And I just made sure the width of the head looked pleasing and crap. There went the word. And proportional to the size of the body that I had. So I made it that long and about this big around on the back and a little bit bigger on the front for the nose. The other dog, I was bound and determined to make one that was more boxer-ish because I love boxers. And so I made the back of the head real big and the nose real small. In fact, I was beginning to think it was going to look more like a bear than a dog, but it turned out. So, I go with stuff hits me and I get an idea in my head and I just run with it.